evidence. According to them, within a radius of 200 meters around the stone disk, mysterious electrical interference suddenly began to disable the compasses, phones, and all the team's equipment. This ended their second expedition to the object. New images have allowed scientists to examine the right angles of the Baltic anomaly in detail, but they were still very skeptical. Archaeologist Goran Ekberg noted that the findings really looked like the object was made either by humans or by a more advanced extraterrestrial civilization. Yet he added that this wasn't the first object in the world that looked artificial, but was actually made by nature. In 2018, during the Ice Bridge mission, NASA experts also stumbled upon something of a geometrically correct shape, which they called the perfectly rectangular iceberg. At first, everyone was also puzzled over how it could come out so evenly, but they quickly found a scientific explanation. This perfect iceberg breaks off like a nail that grows too long and cracks in a perfectly straight line. This means that the Baltic anomaly must also follow the laws of logic. Besides, in nature, we generally have a lot of examples of geometric perfection. For example, snowflake patterns, plant leaves, and salt crystals. Now take a look at this regular hexagonal grid pattern that scientists have called the Paleodictian. It was found on marine fossils around the world. Scientists still don't know what created such perfectly even honeycombs underwater. There are suggestions that it could be a small worm-like animal that can dig holes, or something like a sea sponge that left an imprint of its body. 500 years ago, Leonardo da Vinci created a sketch terribly similar to the pattern found by scientists. The creature depicted next to it seems to give a hint that some kind of mollusk is associated with the honeycomb. Anyway, there are a lot of examples of how geometrically ideal objects can form at the bottom of the sea. Skeptics believe this shouldn't surprise the public and suggest that not everything perfect and inexplicable is necessarily the work of aliens' hands or tentacles or whatever it is they have. But what about all the other oddities of the Baltic anomaly? For example, the black stone chipped off from the object looks like it underwent high temperature treatment. There must also be some explanation for the mysterious traces of the fall. However, researchers from Stockholm University believe that the anomaly is a natural formation preserved since the Ice Age. According to their assumptions, a powerful glacier covered the territory of the Baltic Sea several thousand years ago. With the climate warming up, it began to melt. Clear lines turned out as the rock split, and accident-like traces at the bottom of the sea were in fact caused by the movement of the glacier. Having melted, the glacier laid the foundation for the formation of the Baltic Sea, with unusual rock patterns at the bottom. The black rock sample turned out to be basalt, which is essentially ancient solidified magma. Therefore, the material looks like it was processed at high temperatures. That's all. This hypothesis's only drawback is that it doesn't explain why technology tends to go crazy in this area. You know, boulders are scattered all over the sea, yet strange malfunctions occur precisely near the Baltic anomaly. Since scientists can't explain all the oddities of the discovered mystery, even the craziest theories may turn out to be true. Those who believe that the Baltic anomaly is human-made have two hypotheses. According to the first one, the stone disk is still a flying saucer. The only difference is that it belonged not to extraterrestrial beings, but to the Third Reich. This version is actually based on a real historical fact. During the Second World War, the Nazis often conducted tests in the Baltic Sea. The anomaly may even turn out to be an entire Nazi bunker, which is impossible to get inside due to a well-thought-out defense system and a thick top-layer basalt. But if we succeeded, we would probably find the studies of various techniques aimed at disorienting enemy ships. Former Swedish naval officer and World War II expert Anders Attels believes that the Baltic anomaly is indeed connected with the experiments of the Third Reich. However, it's not a base, but a platform base for a device. In fact, this is a bridgehead on the surface of which devices were placed to block the movement of British and Russian submarines in the area. And today, this weapon, disguised as an underwater block, disables divers' equipment. There's just one inconsistency here. Scientists have found silt in the cracks of the study fragment, which, as it turned out, is over 10,000 years old. This means that the Baltic anomaly was created long before the Second World War. But for this period, The second hypothesis is ideal. Its supporters believe that the Baltic anomaly is a fragment of structures made by the ancient civilization of Hyperborea. Like Atlantis, this city was lost many years ago. But according to a map of the Flemish geographer Gerardus Mercator, who lived in the 16th century, Hyperborea really existed approximately where the North Pole is now located. According to one of the most probable versions, the mainland disappeared after a giant asteroid fell to Earth about 11,000 years ago. Due to the fact that the impact occurred at an acute angle, Earth's axis deviated by as much as 15 degrees. This led to a giant tsunami. A colossal wave could have flooded Hyperborea and carried the fragments of its buildings towards the modern Baltic Sea. Still, there's a small gap in this smooth storyline. Atlantis and Hyperborea are considered mythical civilizations because their existence is confirmed only by references in ancient sources, which modern scientists don't really trust. Nonetheless, divers discovered another flooded city, the existence of which was proved, and it strongly resembles the Baltic anomaly. In 1985, Japanese diver Kihachiro Arataki sank to the bottom of the ocean off the small Japanese island of Yonaguni. Dropping only 5 meters, Kihachiro felt like he was in some kind of a parallel world. There was a real city around him, with a castle, an arch, nearly 5 temples, a stadium-like building, a dance platform, a pool, as well as a rock in the shape of a turtle and even a pyramid. These underwater ruins occupied an area that would fit 3 American football fields. Besides, in the nearest underwater caves, stalactites were found, which apparently sank along with this mysterious city. Scientists examined these mineral deposits to determine their age, because this could shed light on the ruins' age. Thus it turned out that the city was built at least 5,000 years ago. But Teruaki Ishii, a professor of geology, believes this stone structure is even much older. He determined that the submergence of the so-called terraces of the structure occurred at the end of the last ice age, which means about 10,000 years ago. In this case, the age of